Thanks for joining us for On Call for All Kids. Today we're going to be talking about water safety. We will discuss who is most at risk for drownings, also referred to as submersions, misconceptions surrounding submersions, and steps you can take to protect your kids around the water. I'm joined by Petra Stanton. She is the supervisor of Safe Kids at JohnsHopkinsAllChildren'sHospital. Great to see you, Petra, and this is always such a wonderful topic to discuss.
Great to see you, Ashley. Wonderful topic, wonderful timing for this topic. Especially now we are still in the pandemic, and last year we saw such an increase in the submersions and drownings in children. We called it 150% increase, which was so significant. So we want to warn our families and help them to prevent this from happening to them.
Yeah, and we do know that young children are at higher risk for drownings, and Florida is the leading state in the nation, so very important that we go over tips to keeping your family safe. So who is at highest risk for drowning in the water?
So what we've seen at the highest risk were the children between the ages 1 and 4, and that is because they learn to walk, they become mobile, and sometimes they come undetected, so we always say, how do you know your child can open the door? And it is when they open the door. That's how you learn about it, right? So if you happen to be in the same room, that's great. However, if they're alone in that room, that may not be so great. So the children between the ages 1 and 4 are at the most risk for pediatric drowning inside of the pool or residential areas, right? When we look at children under the age of 1, they may be most at risk in the bathtub. And then the older children, 5 and up, may be at risk at the bodies of water, such as a lake or a bay.
And so, Petra, what are some misconceptions about drownings?
So one of the biggest misconceptions about drowning is that somebody will hear the child or the adult drown, right? We are used to these scenes of people screaming, their arms are up, and they are yelling for help. What happens in real life, and particularly with little children, they may fall into the water and they go down, and then they try their hardest to come up, and then they gasp for air and go back down. So it is very undetected, right? It's silent. That is the tricky part about it.
So the key thing really here is prevention. So how can we keep our family safe? You always talk about these different layers that we can follow.
Absolutely. So the first layer begins with the family, right? Make sure, especially nowadays that a lot of families are still working from home, make sure you have a clear view of the doors, the pool area, the water that is nearby the house. Have a clear view of that area and know where the children are and where they could be exiting towards that body of water. Secondly, install some high up locks so the child cannot easily reach them, or door alarms that will chime when the child is exiting that house. That will alert you in any case, even if they're not going to the water, right? You know who is moving around. Thirdly, have something like pool fence that surrounds your area, and you want to have it kind of like we see in the background around all sides of the pool, and therefore nobody can enter from any direction. Another tip is, if you have pool furniture, move it away from the pool, because the child can climb on that furniture and jump over the fence or fall over the fence. Remove all the toys from the water so there are no temptations for the child to get in.
What are some other tips to keep our family safe? Because as you mentioned, the bathtub could potentially be a hazard for children as well.
Sure, never leave the children in the bathtub alone. Even if you think there is an older sibling with them, we really need that adult supervision in the bathtub, because a 3-year-old may not be able to handle an emergency. And also we have this water watcher badge. So whenever there's a party or at a beach with any kids, even those that can swim, right? And I'll talk about swim lessons here in a second. Make sure somebody is watching the kids and the water, right? So this water watcher badge works that somebody is the designated person to do that. So for example, I would give it to you, Ashley. Can you please watch the kids and the water for the next 15 minutes? And that that is your only job at that time. If you are leaving that area, please give it to someone else and make sure you are doing that. And speaking of swimming, swim lessons are so important, but they do not substitute for all those layers of protection. So enroll the children in swim lessons, but still watch them. Make sure you do.
And lastly, if an unfortunate emergency situation does occur, what can parents do to be prepared for something like that?
So first of all, learn CPR. Even if it's the hands-only CPR, you can do it to the song Staying Alive, right? There are videos on YouTube. If you're administering anything, it's better than doing nothing. And of course, first and foremost, call 911 and administer the CPR till the first responders arrive.
All right, Petra, thank you so much for joining us. This is a great topic that we talk about every single year, and even more important with the pandemic and a lot of parents working from home and a lot of those different distractions out there. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And thank you all for watching as well. Don't forget, you can also visit our website. It's HopkinsAllChildren's.org/newsroom. You'll find a lot of timely topics in pediatric healthcare and other great resources for your family. We'll see you next week.